The sudden departure of Taehyung, known to millions as V, has left both witnesses and fans across the world unsettled, sparking an avalanche of questions. Why did he leave so abruptly? Why was Jungkook, who was with him at the time, visibly unsettled, his face betraying confusion and perhaps even fear? The entire episode has become a subject of heated debate, fueling speculation, uncertainty, and countless theories. What stands out most vividly is not simply Taehyung's exit, but the charged atmosphere it created. His decision to leave so hastily contrasted sharply with his usual calm and thoughtful nature. Observers who described the scene called it startling, emphasizing the urgency in his movements. At the same time, Jungkook appeared caught off guard, his reaction magnifying the sense of unease. That silence, and absence of explanation, only deepened the tension, inviting everyone to wonder what really lay behind this moment. The mystery did not end with his departure. It multiplied. Where was Taehyung going? Why did he not explain himself? And most significantly, why did Jungkook look so shaken? Eyewitnesses described him as restless, seemingly desperate to understand, and yet unable to grasp what had just unfolded. For many fans, Jungkook's expression became the most powerful detail of the incident. If someone as close to Taehyung as Jungkook could not make sense of the decision, what chance did outsiders have of uncovering the truth? Theories quickly emerged. Some argued that the departure was deeply personal, linked to private matters that required discretion. Others speculated about hidden tensions, conflicts, or even strategic decisions within the group's larger framework. What lent weight to these interpretations was the secrecy surrounding Taehyung's actions. He offered no explanation, left no clear trace of his destination, and kept silent even as speculation spread like wildfire. For someone normally open and expressive, this silence seemed uncharacteristic, heightening the sense of alarm. Jungkook's reaction, however, became the emotional anchor of the narrative. Known for his resilience and composure, Jungkook has long been celebrated as someone who adapts under pressure. Yet at that moment, he looked visibly unsettled. His struggle to hide his confusion was apparent, and this vulnerability resonated with millions who saw in him a mirror of their own bewilderment. Fans noted how his demeanor carried not only concern for his friend, but also a wider reflection of collective unease. If he was shaken, they too felt shaken. This intensity was amplified by the contradictions at the heart of the situation. The strong, supportive bond between Taehyung and Jungkook has often been showcased as one of resilience and trust. Yet here, that bond seemed temporarily fractured, one leaving without explanation, the other frozen in uncertainty. Was this a spontaneous act that even Jungkook did not anticipate? Or was it a deliberate move, kept secret from him for reasons yet unknown? Such uncertainty only fanned the flames of speculation. The secrecy surrounding Taehyung's choice to leave is what made the situation so dramatic. Silence can be powerful, and in this case, it became a canvas onto which countless interpretations were projected. Some argued he wanted to conceal sensitive information. Others believed his silence was an act of protection, shielding those close to him from knowledge too heavy to reveal. Whatever the reason, the lack of clarity meant the questions far outnumbered the answers. Equally important is the emotional undercurrent that seemed to ripple beneath the moment. The bond between the two members has often been viewed as strong and deeply personal, yet this episode revealed its fragility under unexpected strain. The scene of Taehyung leaving hurriedly while Jungkook appeared panicked was not merely about action, it was about human vulnerability. Even the strongest ties can be tested by unexplained decisions. Fans across the world took this moment as proof of how much lies beneath the surface. Could Taehyung's urgency be linked to an issue so personal that even Jungkook had been excluded? Could it have been connected to broader circumstances not yet visible to the public? Each theory added a new layer of complexity, and the lack of confirmation meant all possibilities remained open. Ultimately, what resonated most was not the speculation, but the raw emotion at the center of the story. Taehyung's urgency, Jungkook's visible distress, and the silence that followed painted a picture of imperfection, reminding the world that even global stars are not immune to the vulnerabilities of trust, communication, and sudden change. Stripped of polished appearances, the incident highlighted a deeply human reality. But as the dust settled, another perspective began to emerge. What if the entire narrative had been exaggerated? Upon closer examination, it became clear that much of the story rested on unverified claims, selective observations, and interpretations amplified through online discussions rather than established facts. Reports that Taehyung left in urgent haste remain unsupported by concrete evidence. Similarly, the claim that Jungkook was panicked or distressed to the point of being unable to cope is not backed by reliable witnesses. Ordinary behaviors, an exit taken quickly, an expression of concern, were magnified into signs of urgency and panic. The emotional language framing the moment came largely after the fact, shaped by speculation rather than grounded in truth. This pattern reflects a broader trend in how narratives about public figures are constructed. In the absence of verifiable details, ambiguity leaves space for stories to be spun in ways that maximize drama. A fleeting glance becomes evidence of confusion. A silent pause becomes proof of secrecy. A quick departure becomes a symbol of urgency. These fragments, when strung together, create a story that feels coherent yet rests on shaky foundations. Jungkook's supposed panic exemplifies this distortion. While he may have looked momentarily unsettled, there is no substantiated evidence that he experienced the kind of emotional collapse suggested in retellings. To interpret his demeanor as panic is misleading and unfair, reducing his humanity to a caricature of vulnerability and transforming natural reactions into exaggerated drama. The same holds true for Taehyung. His departure was framed as an urgent, secretive act. Yet no details about the timing, location, or witness confirmation substantiate this framing. What may have been a perfectly ordinary exit was recast as something mysterious and dramatic. This shift reveals less about his actual behavior and more about the hunger for sensational narratives. The impact of such distortions is not trivial. They contribute to cycles of misinformation that spread rapidly online, thriving on emotional resonance rather than factual accuracy. While these stories capture attention, they leave behind confusion and mistrust. For the individuals involved, Taehyung and Jungkook, the consequences can be burdensome, placing them under unnecessary scrutiny and pressure. This incident underscores the responsibility both of content creators and consumers. Sensationalism may attract immediate attention, but it erodes trust and distorts reality. Fans who truly admire their idols must remain cautious, resisting the temptation to mistake speculation for truth. Critical engagement is essential in a media landscape where drama often outweighs accuracy.